And we're still feeling it. She came home today and took a nap. She said, I'm whooped. Like I said.
I just don't want you to go on your butt.
Okay, that quick, huh?
Welcome to the Charter Township of Comstock Board Meeting, Monday, September 29th, 2025. This meeting is now called to order. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here.
Looking for a motion for approval of the agenda.
Move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Moving along to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor. No other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you are welcome to make an appointment with a supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. Their contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Hi, Tammy Keeler, Celery Street. I hope you guys vote to fire the assistant fire chief. That was his choice, bad choice that he made. He's already getting off just by probation and stuff like that. He should serve jail time for what he done to that little girl. And if anybody's worried about consumers taking your property there on 28th Street and stuff, they can't. There's a Public Act 233. It's eminent domain. They cannot take your property if you do
Please
not
address
sell
the
it.
board.
If you do not sell it. And I am just asking to recuse some people from voting on the battery plant. Seems that they have stock in it. And as far as some stuff that was put on Facebook, it's ridiculous. I can't control what people put on there. They put it on there, they put it on there. I was asked by somebody to tell my friend not to be saying that stuff. We need tornado sirens more than we need this battery plant. I will keep on telling you guys that. And I hope that you guys vote yes to open Soil Friends up fully. Everybody's having such a good time out there. This is their business. And you guys ought to respect that. I don't see you messing with anybody else's business but theirs. But yes, I'd say, Assistant Fire Chief does not deserve to be on the fire department or anything like that. And a lot of the citizens feel that way. He don't deserve anything. He was caught 2 times before that. He was called in for swerving on East Michigan and River Street. He even admitted to it when they stopped him. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Debbie Meeker. I live at 3636 Comstock Village Lane. I don't agree with battery plant at all. If that caught fire, our children would be hurt, even killed. They will not get out of that building fast enough. And along with the fire chief, he's just gotten a slap on the wrist. He deserves jail time. Soil Friends Farm, open it. Let it be a good family community, a gathering place. It's a business. It's also a way for that family to be able to provide fresh fruits and vegetables to our community. It helps the kids to be able to go someplace that is safe. Let it open all the way up. That's my words.
Thank you, ma'am.
Richard Hathaway, 3617 Silver Hills. I'm here to speak as a citizen only. I'm not representing any business, public enterprise, or formal organization. I want to praise the Township Board for their business insight and support of small local businesses. Saturday evening, Barbara, my wife, and I attended a family-friendly event at a local business, Soil Friends Incorporated. What a tribute to this community. At that event, there was fun for every member of the family. They had a tribute band for adults. They played rock and roll. Kids and adults danced on a carpeted floor outside, listened to the music, chose to converse with friends, and food, treats, beverages were available for everyone. There was dutiful checking of IDs for adult beverages. The taco truck was preparing tacos, meals for a reasonable price. Soil Friends offers a host of activities for kids. I observed kids petting live goats and other animals. From the seating around the band, parents could watch their children play with kids of all ages and having fun. A zip line was there, a rubber tube for kids to roll other kids in. It was just absolutely fun to watch. All what I call good old family fun. All the kids had ear-to-ear smiles when engaged in the activities. Everyone I saw and spoke with was having a great time. The community could use more organized events like this, like the one that Soil Friends provided that Soil Friends provided for our families. Of course, there are always those who find something to criticize. One that caught my eye was that the owner of Soil Friends has children that are not in Comstock schools. Well, I tell you, there's a reason for that. If you compare the performance of those, I'm just going to run through as many as I can. In math, Comstock, 11.8% can perform in third grade. But at the alternative or the choice school, they have chosen 41.7. At Comstock, fourth grade, 7.3%. The chosen school for them, 28%. For fifth grade, 6.3%. In Comstock, 27.1% in the chosen school. In the sixth grade, this is all math, 7% versus 17.5%, 12.5% versus 42% for the choice school, 3.5% in eighth grade.
Thank you, sir.
32.4% for the choice school. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sherry Munt. I live at 734 Collette, Kalamazoo, Michigan, 49048. I've lived in the hills of Comstock since
Hey,
1957.
ma'am, would you speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
Okay, I moved in the hills in 1957. I was born, and I took and moved a street over from Kincaid Street. My grandparents used to own the small home that I live in. So I thought I was grandfather claused. And come to find out, I'm not. Mr. Hudson told me I was. And the ordinance officer we used to have, which was Dan Crandall, also told me I was, as long as I didn't remove the animals. I was okay. I had rabbits, ducks. The animal chickens, roosters, all the times I lived here in the hills of Comstock. It was farmland. As I grew up, I rode horses in the Shields Platte in the farmer's field. The rooster is not as loud as a train horn that blows in the middle of the night. The motorcycles that fly by, or most cars, or lawnmowers, or a dog that barks. He would wake me up in the morning and let me know when predators were in my yard. A duck was not as loud as the rooster or the fire trucks. The roosters can make great food, more chicks, so you don't have to keep buying them from Tractor Supply. I believe if they are not running loose in a cage, they should be just fine. You can't make chicks without roosters. I got rid of them because I was turned in by my daughter's ex-boyfriend, which he doesn't even live in our county. Our neighbors love the animals, so I know it wasn't them. I've spoken to them all. Pets Plus has a picture of my daughter's duck. He was harnessed, and he used to come and walk all the way from the hills to the park in Comstock. He's even been seen at the gas station. So, what if people are allergic to chicken eggs? I mean, some people are. Some can only eat duck eggs. A duck doesn't even make as much noise as a dog that barks. We have them in our parks, all of our parks. And as far as soil funds, I had a great time there. Everything went smooth, no fights, no arguments. Everyone was welcome. I think it's a wonderful place to take your children, as we have. Thank you, and you all have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is John Charlie. Missed the last meeting and everything. Hopefully everyone was, nice to each other here. It's one of those things. I've seen some stuff on Facebook the last couple of days, and it's just very uncalled for. You're attacking a person for their right to choose where their kid goes to school. Newsflash, I don't know how many families that live in Comstock that send their kid to Climax schools just because it's a better school. I love Comstock schools, don't get me wrong here, but when the IEP program, the 504 plan is so much better at Climax, they get that one-on-one, you don't have a lot of kids, they're, in my opinion, more disciplined there than Comstock. When I was in school, there was not a lot of discipline. I'm talking almost 10 years ago now, I feel kind of old saying that. It's just, you're attacking someone. And these same people that are attacking this person was getting mad for the last supervisor getting attacked by other people. If you're going to get mad at people for attacking someone, but then do the same exact thing of what the other people did, you have no argument here of saying this is not right and everything like that. Just be kind to people. We need to stop fighting in this township, come as a community together. We don't want the best system. We want Soil and Friends to open. That is, most of this community, I would say over 50%, are in agreement with those two statements right there. So why can we not, as a township, as a school board, as a community, just get along and just absolutely work together and stop fighting each other? Because when we have all these different Facebook groups and everything bashing each other all the time, we're not getting anywhere except just, blowing our minds up and everything like that with all this, rage and everything like that. Get off your phone, go outside, mow the grass, touch some grass or something. Get off the phone and do something. I am kind of, weirded out by the other attorney being here. Hopefully Catherine is, maybe just on vacation or something. I know there was a lot of stuff going on in the last little bit here and everything, and hopefully she didn't get mad at the township and doesn't come back. We like Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further citizen comment this evening? You can take the podium, ma'am.
I went to court. I'm Chris Rodriguez, and I live at 616 Lane House. I went to court, and I was, kind of tricked into signing a consent that the township could go in my backyard. I feel it's like watching me go to the bathroom, and there's no need for it. So I wrote a letter. I've tried to get in front of the judge since then. I can't. He wants to come back again. And I feel I'm being harassed by the township. It's my backyard. It's my own personal space. It's the one place that I can go and feel like it's me and not be bothered by anybody, as long as I'm not bothering anybody else. And so I don't feel that he should be allowed in. So I wrote a letter before, but I'll write it again, and I'll give you guys a copy if you'd like. I would like to formally revoke my any consent I previously gave to the township to enter or inspect my backyard. I understand the constitutional rights now. I did not before. And I do not need a judge's approval to withdraw my consent. I was misled when I originally signed the consent, and I now clearly understand that it is my right to revoke my consent. No more entry to my backyard. As a township, you shouldn't want to invade someone's personal space, because I don't feel like it's my home when someone gets to invade my personal backyard. It's fenced in, it's locked, so no one else can enter it, and I shouldn't have to open it for the township because they want to be nosy. I'm not hurting anybody. There's nothing illegal back there, and I've proven that. And I would like to be respected as you all would like to be respected, and not have people go in your backyard. Because if I can go in that man's backyard, or, you know, the township, I guess, then how would you feel? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further comments this evening? You can take the podium, sir.
Hi, so my name is Nicholas Fonseca, and I'm a homeless person in this community. I've been a part of this community since I was 5 years old. You know, my dad worked at the community, or the Comstock Motor Court when it was there. You know, I mean, I've been part of this community and am part of this community. I do many things to help out this community. You know, I give bikes to little kids. I mow grass for elderly people who can't. You know, I'm there for anybody that needs me, if they're, you know, it's any relationship problems or anything like that, anything that I can possibly do for our community. And, you know, I found that in the last 2 years, you know, the people who are in charge, or, you know, are overseers of our protection, you know, have become more of a bully sort, you know. Recently, I had a situation where I thought somebody was in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Now, whether or not there was somebody there or was not in trouble, like, that doesn't matter. The fact is that I thought somebody was in trouble, you know, and I had a warrant for my arrest, you know. I don't today, but I did then. And I was like, you know what? I know I'm going to jail if I call for help, you know. But through that, I'm like, you know what? That don't matter. I'm going to jail because I'm going to call for help, right? Now, when the police showed up, because I couldn't give that cop enough information, you know, on said situation, because I didn't know any information. I said I heard a sound that I thought was somebody was in trouble, you know, and that was pretty much all I knew, you know. I had done all I could in the situation, managed to go up to these people's house at like 2 o'clock in the morning, soaking wet, and we're in PJs when it was Christmas Eve, you know. Police show up. I'm going to jail. So, you know what? And I was charged with misuse of 911 and resisting arrest. And it's sad because neither one of them was true. You know, I truly thought there was somebody in trouble, you know, and, you know, at the cost of my own freedom, I was like, you know what, we're going to help this person that is in trouble, you know. That's a felony. You know, I have a checkered past already. I was part of Kalamazoo's first juvenile drug court load, you know, which, I mean, granted, I didn't complete, you know, but it just seems, and after that, you know, I got pulled over 4 times in one day, 6 times in 4 days, you know, I was never even given a ticket, you know. The people who are in charge of our safety, you know what I'm saying, they're there to protect and serve. And I feel like they're not serving, you know, and in very many instances, I feel like they're not even protecting those of the homeless community. You know, I get it that, you know, we are not always, you know, the cleanest, you know what I'm saying? You know, we do leave a mess sometimes. But I mean, let me ask you a question. If the police showed up at your house and said, you got 10 minutes to leave, or we're going to charge you with trespassing, and you can't come back, would you leave a mess? How much stuff would you leave behind? How many memories would be lost, you know? And even that, you know, it's heartbreaking to find that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I got it. Hi, Jeannie Kissinger. I can't see you guys right now. I'm like blind. All I can say is when it comes to Soil Friends, it's a beautiful place, but you need to leave Ben's personal business and his family alone. Because that has no stipulation on his job, this place, or Comstock Township, where he sends his children to, are his business. If he wants to put them in private school, it's nobody's business but theirs. And they can go ahead and they can say what they want to about me. I don't care. I got big shoulders. You'd be surprised. But I'm just telling you, I'm tired of hearing them run him down. He's got a beautiful place for people to go. Go up there and enjoy yourself instead of complaining. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further citizen comment this evening? Ma'am, please. Moving along to announcements for departments, boards, and commissions. Commissioner Gisler passed along information on Monday, October 13th at Mark's Diner at 8:30 a.m. Michael Clayton for the Great Lakes Rescue. He is the Director of Operations. He will be talking about the Great Lakes Drone Company and rescue it within the Great Lakes using drones. That's at Mark's Diner, October 13th at 8:30 a.m. I don't believe we have any more announcements this evening. Moving along to the consent agenda, minutes from the September 15th, 2025 meeting, and bills payable September 30th, 2025. I'd be looking for a motion of approval for the consent agenda.
Supervisor Martin, I have a correction on page 8, please. Under the weather siren discussion, Jeff's last name is not P-E-L-K, it's Depluka, D-E-P-L-U-K-A. If that could be changed.
Anything further? I'd be looking for a motion with the amendments as presented.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the changes to the minutes as presented.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp. Support. Supported by Trustee Cherry. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. No presentations this evening. We're moving along into business. And then moving along past that to fire and rescue for the second reading of ordinance number 558, the Uniform Fire Code Amendment. Thank you, Chief Beauchamp.
All right, thank you. So this is the second reading of ordinance 558, adoption of NFPA 1, our fire code. We're currently operating under the 2018 edition, and we'd like to upgrade to the 2024 edition, which is the most current. Some of the updates include how to address energy storage systems, balcony and deck cooking, and fire protection system impairments. Any amendment requests were identical to what we had in the previous version. We just pointed it to the right language in the new code. So if there's any questions or anything I can help with?
Any questions for Chief Beauchamp? Trustee Cherry, nothing? Trustee Amos? Trustee Pratt?
None, thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I don't have any.
Trustee McIver?
No, I have none, thank you.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
No.
I have no questions either, Chief Beauchamp.
All right, sounds good.
Be looking for a motion on this, unless you have anything further for us?
I don't have anything further.
I'll make a motion of the second reading of ordinance 558, the Uniform Code Amendment.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Cherry, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. And would this be a roll call?
Roll call. Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
All right, right, thank you. The rest are announcements. There's no actionable items. The first one is Fire Marshal Kessler attended the state's Fire Inspector Fall Conference last week and has some great news to bring back for our community that this year in 2025, we are number 5 in the state with all cities and municipalities for installations of smoke alarms. So this includes the big cities, big municipalities. So for our community to be number 5 in the state is a pretty big accomplishment for our staff. It went on to say that in the last 9 years, when they started tracking in 2016, we were actually number 10 in that. So we've been doing pretty good in our community. So kudos to our staff on that. The next one is just announcing that our annual fire prevention open house is Saturday, October 11th. Hope to see a good turnout from the community. It is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our station 9-1, which is 1960 River Street. This year is the NFPA theme is Charge into Fire Safety, Lithium-ion batteries in your home awareness. We'll have obviously our fire personnel there, our fire apparatus, and Sparky. So we're looking forward to a good community turnout October 11th. The next announcement is the department was awarded Assistance to Firefighters Grant. It was their fiscal year 2024 for over $277,000 in federal funds. It requires a 5% match, so it'll be just under $14,000. This grant will be for hands-on training such as firefighter survival, some additional EMS training, and driver's training for our engine and our our aerial apparatus that we're getting early next year. So it was outstanding that we secured such a large grant again, and kudos to Assistant Chief Kevin Thompson, who spearheaded this grant request. Last announcement I got is our new replacement engine, that one of the ones that was damaged over the course of the winter on I-94, received its final inspection last week, and it should be shipped this week. So we're hoping by the end of the month we'll see it in service. That leaves us one more that's in the works of being repaired, and we're also hoping that's back the end of this month, at the first next month. So knock on wood, we'll be up to full strength with our apparatus late this month, early next month. That's all I got.
Thank you, Chief Beauchamp. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Moving along to planning and zoning. First, we have the second reading of ordinance number 559 at 2591 South 33rd Street. It's a rezoning request.
Thank you, Supervisor Martin. So yes, this one came to you all September 15th, or the last meeting we had. It is a request to go from R1A to AGR. Refresher, the parcel is about 2.2 acres, and the main reason for this request was to increase the amount of chickens that the property owner could have. I'm just looking for a motion or any questions you might have.
Treasurer Bloomfield, do you have anything from the Planning Commission for us?
No, I do not.
Trustee McIver? Any questions?
I wonder how many extra chickens that he's planning on asking to have.
The applicant is here if he wants to speak to how many chickens he currently has. 20 chickens currently. He's zoned residential, so he's only allowed to have 6, but by rezoning to ag, he would then be allowed to have
So he's adding 14 chickens? He's adding 14 chickens to his current 6, is that right?
So he already has the 20 currently.
Okay.
Yes. And the Planning Commission ultimately recommended approval for this due to the fact that it is aligned with our master plan for AGR.
Thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp, any questions?
I don't have any.
Trustee Pratt?
None, thank you.
Trustee Amos? Thank you. Trustee Cherry?
No, sir.
Be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the second reading of ordinance number 559-2591 South 33rd Street rezoning request.
Second.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, seconded by Trustee Pratt. Roll call vote?
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Moving along now to the second reading of ordinance number 560 at 155 Elliott, the rezoning request.
Okay, this first reading came to you all again, previous meeting on September 15th. This parcel is split zoned, R1B and LM. The property owner is asking to rezone this completely to light manufacturing to continue operating as he has for the past 20 plus years.
Trustee Cherry, any questions?
No, but I think.
Trustee Amos?
I am, so it is my understanding that Mr. Brooks, when he bought this property, he thought it was zoned to be light manufacturing because somebody had used it as that. Is that correct?
Correct.
It is my understanding also that he was denied use as manufacturing because it was rezoned residential. Is that correct?
So we do not know the exact year that it went from R1B to split zoning. We have found maps back in 1976 that show the whole block as R1B, and then as we get into the 80s, it gets more confusing. In the 90s, we're all confused at that point. So we do not know exactly when that happened. He has not been denied to use it. He continues using it as light manufacturing. As I believe there was a sale supposed to happen. The new owner reached out to me, or the proposed owner, requesting how this could work. Ultimately, we said you cannot use it, shift anything to light manufacturing or go further in light manufacturing because it is currently split zoned. So that's why we're here right now.
Okay, so in my opinion, this is a mistake from the township. Is that not correct?
I do not know what happened in the 70s. I don't know if something happened on the property owner's end or the planning commission's end. I don't know how we got here. So I do not know whose mistake it is.
Well, we don't know whose mistake it is, but it has to, undoubtedly from the township, it was applied for and everything.
No clue what happened in the 70s. There's no applications, no meeting minutes regarding this. So we do not know what occurred.
Was Mr. Brooks also charged a fee?
For the rezoning, yes. Because as it stands, it is LM and R1B. If you want to change that, an application is needed. There is a fee associated to cover the cost of the public hearing, the noticing, the planning commission, which is the paid board. No fees were waived at that time.
Well, in my opinion, this is a mistake by the township and it needs to be justified. Mm-hmm. And I also believe that, in my opinion, that he should not have to pay this fee, that we should refund the fee. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Trustee Amos. Treasurer Bloomfield, do you have anything from the Planning Commission? And to maybe perhaps address any of Jerry's questions?
Sure. The board voted 7-0 to have only one hearing for this parcel. Mm-hmm. And the whole Planning Commission felt like it was rezoned back in 1998, I believe. And Mr. Brooks had a lot of the information. I believe that I don't think Casey might have even had that. He had done research on himself. So we opted to move it forward to the Township Board after one public hearing, just because he has not been able to use that part of the parcel. So I'm kind of with Jerry where I guess Mr. Brooks is in the audience if anybody has any questions for him, I guess, if he'd like to speak to anybody. But I'm kind of with Jerry where I feel like his fee should be given back to him based on the fact that it was, from all the paperwork I saw, was this municipality's error a long time ago. That's cost him money where he could not use his parcel, the back parts of his parcel.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Trustee Pratt, do you have anything?
None, thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp?
Nothing.
Trustee MacGyver?
Oh, nothing, thank you.
Mr. Brooks, do you have anything for us this evening?
Did he ask you?
Any questions from any board members for Casey or Mr. Brooks?
Okay, I would like to make the motion that we refund his money and we approve this.
Support.
Motion.
Could I just request those be two separate motions? One just to approve the ordinance for the rezone, and then we can make a separate one for the refunds.
Okay, then I make the motion that we refund his money.
Motion made by Trustee Amos.
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Sorry. Okay. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes?
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
The next motion we'd be looking for would be a motion regarding the second reading of ordinance number 560 at 155 Elliott rezoning request.
I make a motion, we approve the second reading of ordinance number 560 at 155 Elliott rezoning request.
Support.
Motion made by trustee Cherry, supported by treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes?
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Thank you, Casey. Moving along to the first reading of ordinance number 561 at 7667 Arden, a rezoning request.
Perfect. This is a new ordinance for you all, as Supervisor Martin shared. This came to the Planning Commission September 11th, 2025. Landscape Forms are requesting a rezone from a newly acquired parcel at 7667 Arden. The parcel is currently zoned R1B. They would like to rezone it to light manufacturing to match the rest of their complex they have as light manufacturing. I'll go through the quick staff report prepared by Kyle, but the Planning Commission is recommending approval for this request. This parcel is just 0.33 acres, or about 14,000 square feet. They acquired this parcel in 2024. In your packet, there is an image of the driveway that they are putting in for the new building they are putting in. And you can see that in relation to the new Arden parcel, which will make sense as I go through the staff report. So the number one is asking, is this consistent with the township's master plan? Our master land use plan map is kind of difficult to say, read exactly. It's not per parcel, it's kind of per polygon. So overall, Kyle decided that with the intended use of the parcel being used for screening, it appears to be compatible with the township's master plan. Whether all the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be compatible with other zones in the area. Light manufacturing is more intensive of a use than R1B. However, due to the fact that this parcel is only 0.33 acres, there is not much that could be built on it. Kyle spoke further to the setback requirements, for example, 20 feet in the front yard or 25 feet front yard, 20-foot side yards, and 20 feet in the rear yard. So again, with a 0.33 acre, not much manufacturing can be built. And whether any of the public services and facilities would be adversely impacted by this, their plan is to use it as screening and a big giant buffer for the properties on, I believe it is Lawndale, to protect them from the cars and traffic that may come down that new driveway. So no, we don't anticipate any sort of adverse impact on the public services facilities based on that it'll be trees and brush and greenery. And lastly, whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited to the area under the current zoning of the land. Either way, R1B or LM, you would be kind of hard pressed to build on this lot. So we do not think that, even though it is light manufacturing, what you think of heavy industrial use, it will not be that, it will just be trees. So overall, the Planning Commission got this staff report, heard from the applicant, which is also in your packet, a narrative, and decided that it was a good use for this lot.
I have a question. At the Planning Commission meeting, when they were, Landscape Forms was there was a part that of their site plan, and there was another phase that was contingent upon. Was this the contingent part, or is this something totally new?
Totally new. So their site plan has already been approved. They're set to begin digging, already pulled permits. But what they were talking about was combining it. As of right now, there is no plan to combine Arden with the rest of their Landscape Forms complex. They wanted to put that condition up, but you cannot put conditions on rezoning, but they suggested that that be heavily nudged at them to combine it with the rest of their property.
Thank you. Treasurer Bloomfield, do you have anything for us?
I believe this was another one where the Planning Commission only had one hearing.
Yes.
Yes, and we voted unanimously to move it forward to the Township Board. It was probably one of the easier rezonings we've had, where it was kind of a no-brainer, correct, Casey?
Yes.
Any questions for Casey? Trustee McIver?
No, I don't.
Clerk Bochamp?
Have any?
Trustee Pratt?
None.
Trustee Amos? Trustee Cherry? We'd be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the first reading of ordinance number 561, 7667 Arden rezoning request.
Second?
Motion made by Clerk Bochamp, seconded by Trustee McIver. Roll call vote?
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay, and then my next item is the Soil Friends attorney email. I'll let Attorney Thal take this one over. But there's just a correspondence I received from Soil Friends attorney Kustra in regard to an email that's also in your packet that I sent on 9/16/2025.
All right, thank you, Casey. So with this item, there's a number of, there's a case, important case that was determined in wineries, the Old Mission Peninsula Association versus Peninsula Township. And so there's different things that come out of that case, some of which directly addressed some of the conditions that were placed upon Soil Friends in their special land use approval from a number of years ago. And so at the Planning Commission meeting last week, we looked at some of those conditions regarding the no amplification of music outside the barn and no use of speakers outside the barn. Both of those were determined to be preempted by law by that case. So the Planning Commission struck those two conditions. We're still at the Planning Commission level looking at some of the other requests that his attorney has made. We'll review those. I'm going to get back to the Planning Commission by our next meeting, where I'll report to them on whether any of those other things outlined in his letter are violations of law. To the extent they are violations of law, then those conditions would be struck automatically. Don't have to go through an application process or anything else. If they're unenforceable, then we determine them to be unenforceable and deal with it in that manner. I still, some of the issues I will probably have to follow up with the attorney to find out what exact sections, if he's going to be providing other services, what services those are under state law, so I can analyze whether there'd be any preemption of local permits in that regard. So that's just where that stands now.
Thank you, Attorney Thal. Any questions for Attorney Thal?
Not yet.
Trustee Amos? Trustee Pratt? Clerk Bochamp? Trustee McIver?
No, thank you.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
I just want to say that I think that the Planning Commission did the right thing, moving the township forward and taking off some of the conflict of interest, and I appreciate Thal's work in this. It's good to see us move forward. Thank you.
If there's no further questions, we can move along to clerk for the election report.
Okay, just a quick election update for the November 4th election. We did mail ballots to those on the permanent ballot list last week. If you haven't already received your ballot, I anticipate everyone should receive theirs in the next couple of days. If you're not on the permanent ballot list and would like to vote absentee, you can request a ballot with the clerk staff or online at michigan.gov/vote. The public accuracy test will be held on October 9th at 9 a.m. here in this room, and the Election Commission will meet right before that at 8:30 to appoint election inspectors for the election. I don't know if everyone noticed when they walked in tonight, but we do have a new drop box, and its location has changed. It used to be in the far corner of the parking lot, and now it is in front, just to the left of the accessible ramp. We did have an issue with someone backing into it, so we did move it and get a new one. So, and that drop box is funded by the state for ballots, but we do accept all township business in that drop box. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Clerk Bochamp. Any questions for Clerk Bochamp? Treasurer Bloomfield?
Nicole, can you just talk real briefly for the residents, for the phone calls I've been getting about the school millages, please?
All I can say is that there is a school millage on the ballot. The sample ballots are on our website, but I cannot speak more to what that means.
I guess my question, I should have clarified, I'm sorry. Is there a millage on for Galesburg schools as well as?
Okay, so you want to know what's on the ballot? Yes, I'd be happy to speak to that. So Precinct 1 has Galesburg, Augusta schools and CCTA. Precinct 2 has Comstock schools, CCTA. Precinct 3 the same. Precinct 4 is just CCTA okay, because precinct 4 is Gull Lake Schools, and they do not have anything this election. And then precinct 6 has CCTA and Comstock Schools.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for Clerk Beauchamp? Moving along to Treasurer Bloomfield for the Truth in Taxation hearing.
Okay, I did a lot of studying for this tonight, so I understand the calculation sheet very well. I was pretty proud of myself because it's pretty intense, right, Jerry? But I'm going to ask Superintendent Hess if he will take this for me, as Brett told me that you or Rob Thal would. I already asked him. He said to appoint you tonight.
Well, I can probably go through it, but Brett is the whiz. That's why we hire him as a finance director, but, and help me out. So, the truth in taxation, typically the Charter Township current millage was at 1 mils, if I'm correct, on the process there. The allowable mills was up to 4.8427. The library has always been at 0.5048. And then their extra voted is a 0.9685. Law enforcement was at 1 mil, and currently they're at 0.9920. And then the roads, we can go up to 2.97. Currently we're at 1 mil. And then the extra voted senior millage is exactly 1 mil. And that maximum allowance is 1 mil. My understanding is with the rollback, the truth in taxation calculations, and help me out, I don't think the senior millage can be rolled back. That is the only one that cannot be rolled back. Typically, in layman terms, the reason that they have this is with inflation, that you're allowed to do one, but you can roll it back to equalize what the assessed values are, to so that the taxation doesn't rise to the inflation rate. Am I saying that right, Rob?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Anyways, that one's tough. So I know with this, if we, without the hearing, it will increase at 4.36 because of the inflation, but without the hearing, it could increase an extra 21.21%. So,
with the hearing?
Yeah. So I know the last meeting, what we had discussed was to leave the operating millage at the current level, the library and the law enforcement. So we would still stay at the same mills that we currently had last year.
Yeah, if I could just address a little bit about the truth in taxation hearing. So generally speaking, you don't have to have a truth in taxation hearing. It can be part of your budget hearing. So your budget hearing functions as a truth in taxation hearing. However, if you're going to levy more than you levied last year, if you're going to increase any millages over when we had our budget hearing, if it was part of the budget hearing, fine, we don't have to do this, but any increases over what were discussed at the budget hearing last year, those then require a truth in taxation hearing, which is basically a procedure to review what we would be looking at for our current rates. And then following the budget hearing, following the truth in taxation hearing, where the public has an opportunity to address any of these millage rates, you would take action to approve the L4029 for execution submission to the county, because that's really what you're trying to do, is establish your rates so that you can get them submitted over to the county. But anything that's above what was last discussed at your budget hearing, any increases, we have to have the truth in taxation. So it gives us the flexibility of looking at our numbers. If you look at the L4029 document, it shows you what the millage rates are reduced to in item 5 in that category, and then what you're asking to be levied in item 8 or item 11. I would note that I think, Scott, you said roads were at a mill. But when I look at your
Oh, I'm sorry.
L4029.
That's what it was last year, sorry, they were at 1 mil. So.
Yeah, so that's why, because we're increasing, you know, we have to have our truth and taxation hearing. So the public has opportunity to look at our numbers that we're requesting to be levied. They can make comment on that tonight, and then afterwards, you would take action on what you want to approve as your authorized tax rates. So the next step would be to open your public hearing and hear from the public.
And we need a motion to open public hearing.
Yes.
I'm looking for a motion to open public hearing.
I move that we open the truth and taxation hearing.
Support. Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. Roll call vote?
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Okay, public hearing is open.
This would now be a chance for residents to voice their concerns.
On the township's millage rates.
As a partner, you may want to say something before the vote goes in about the endpoint.
If there's no comment, I will be looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing, taxation hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Amos. Roll call vote?
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Okay, public hearing is closed.
So now, I think the board would have to vote on the L4029 to.
Right, that's page 90 in your meeting packet. So the next item would be consideration of the tax rate request, which then gets executed by the township and sent on to the county equalization department.
And then just to clarify, the motion that we made at the last board meeting, that there was a couple motions made. The first motion was not passed, and then the second motion was passed. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, and those are the millage, the one that passed the board are the millage rates that are reflected on the L4029, and that were published in the paper as well.
Okay.
Yeah, in column, 11, I think it is?
Right, 11 has the rates that you'd be asking to be levied.
And I just think it'd be good if we went over those with the public really quick. I'll start at the bottom with the senior millage. That was extra, which was voted in 2020, excuse me, and that does expire in 2029, and that was 1 mil. The roads is at 1.25 mils. Our law enforcement, which is an extra millage, is at almost a mil. It's 0.9920, and that millage is good until December 31st of 2025, when we will need to come back to the voters to decide what we're going to do. The library has 2 extra millages, then they're unlimited. They go in pituitary, which is 0.9685 and 0.048. And the last one is the operating for the township itself, which is at 1.8484 mils, and that is also unlimited.
Would we like to make a motion and open it for any discussion?
I move that we approve the 2025 Comstock Township L4029 as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
No.
Okay, motion carried, 6 yes, 1 no.
Moving along to Treasurer Bloomfield, Township bills on the website.
This is something we have discussed at past meetings, is putting our bills online so the residents can see where their tax dollars are going. And I know there are other municipalities that are doing it. I find it kind of interesting that now I sign all the checks. They aren't authorized with a pen anymore. So I have an ability to see where the money's going, and it's quite interesting. But I know the clerk had some things she wanted to talk about with this, so I'm gonna see what her input is.
Well, I agree with the transparency aspect. I know we already have reports that have who the bills are paid to and how much. So I guess my concerns are more just the logistical aspects of it. So I know Brett was looking into it. So I don't know where he's at in that. He was talking about putting it on the website or a link that directs outside of our website to another site based on how much data we can have on our site. And then he brought up the accessibility issue that we're working on with Shoemaker right now. They're updating our website. So he had concerns also about how we would be in compliance with that. So I don't know where he is in that. And he's not here tonight to ask him,
I know.
so, yeah.
He did send me an email and said that you did have concerns, and that's why I asked you.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know what yours were.
Well, and the other piece is how do we do it? Who does it? What will need to be redacted? Because there is some personal information on some of our bills. These bills are FOIA-able right now, so they are already accessible to the public. And so it's, not that the public doesn't have access now. I just worried that it would be a bit of an extra workload for something that the citizens can already have. And I've never been asked for a bill ever since I've been here. So I don't know if it's worth all of the hoops that we're gonna have to jump through to put it on our website.
And also in that email, Chief Financial Officer Brett Padgett did express that he would be willing to do that. And I guess one of the things that I find that it would also help with is, there's an example, I can't remember what page it's on, is the company that we use to do cleanups for our houses that we've had homeless at, or any project that needs cleaned up. There's an example for tonight is there's a bill on there for them for $5,000. But when I look at that, what's in our paperwork for tonight, I see where it's the company and the bill and the date, but it doesn't go back to what I get to see on the bill as to what parcel it is that's being cleaned up. And I just think that that's another lead-in to help our ordinance officer and our chief ordinance officer, Scott Hess, to say, hey, this is what we are doing. We are moving forward with these things. So that's kind of why I like that idea. It just tells our residents, yeah, we're working on these things, because it's such a long process to get through the court system with it. And, when they drive around and they say, hey, what are you working on? We're like, we're working on it. The proof is in the bills. That's kind of where I was headed with that, Nicole, where it was, we'll just give them so that they know what we're working on.
So a bit of a sensitive subject there, but I do know that the former ordinance officers, when they were doing their ordinance reports, were putting in the report the addresses that they were cleaning up, but they stopped doing that because there was concern of harassment or something from other residents who were saying, well, look at how much the township paid to clean up your property. And then there was a little bit of that going back and forth. So the ordinance officers did stop putting that in reports. So that would be my concern moving forward, is then, are those people going to be a target?
Anything further, Treasurer Bloomfield?
Nope, if you'd like to ask the rest, it's up to you.
Trustee MacGyver?
I have no question.
Clerk Bochamp, do you have anything further? Trustee Pratt?
Well, I sort of like the idea of having the further transparency, but what I'm concerned of the overall impact that it may have on our current township staff. And I'd like to get more details from Brett on his return to see exactly what kind of impact that would be before giving a final decision answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Pratt. Trustee Amos?
I don't have any problem with it. I believe that we should have as much transparency as possible.
Thank you, trustee Amos. Trustee Cherry?
I kind of have the same concern as adding additional duties to probably someone who's already overworked. That, and I would love to hear whatever he was, what you were saying about the server or working, he was working with.
So Shoemaker is our web designer, and there were they reached out to us about upgrading our site to be more accessible.
Yes.
So Brett that was one of the concerns, but the other was, how do we do it? Do we just do it, upload it all to a page? Is there a link that goes out to like BSNA or another site? So last I talked to him, he was just trying to figure out what would make sense in terms of like having all the data online.
Well, is it possible to table it until we get that information?
Oh, we can table it. I'll definitely call some of the townships and municipalities that are doing it because they don't seem to have an issue.
That might be helpful to see if they put it right on their website or if they,
Yeah, sure.
Link it out or something.
It's not a problem. We'll wait for Brett too.
Attorney Thal, I have a question. Would any of that be with disability as well, accessibility? I know that was quite a topic at the MTA conference, websites and things like that.
Well, I think you would take that into consideration, anything that you put on your website, that it be accessible.
That's actually what Brett was looking at, because I deal with the Shoemaker. It was the ADA compliance, to make sure that those are readable or audible, all that for ADA compliance. So I know he was looking at it. He hasn't got, we haven't heard yet, so.
And I think it's a great idea. And then as far as maybe finding a system that would integrate being able to do both of it, and then finding something innovative to be able to streamline the process. If we have more to do, perhaps we can find more efficient ways to be able to do it without inheriting an extra workload. So Treasurer Bloomfield, would you reach out to other municipalities that have that?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Any further questions? Moving along to deputy discussion for trustee. Trustee Cherry.
Yeah, hi.
It says Beauchamp, but then.
Trustee Cherry doesn't have her name and peak to do a memo, so I just did it on behalf, but
So
she's
it's under
presenting
trustee
tonight.
Cherry.
Yes.
Thank you, trustee Cherry.
I was hoping to have an open and respectful dialogue on this subject, because I know there's been almost a precedent set, but it's not a standard cut across the board, which is my issue with it. And I can read the motion and hopefully get a second and open it up for discussion, and then that way we can actually all go through and, talk about it. So, but I would like to make a motion that no deputy can sit on any board, including but not limited to Township Board, Planning Commission, et cetera, or any other committee or subcommittee in place of their elected official unless specifically appointed to that board, committee, or subcommittee.
Support.
Motion made by trustee Cherry, supported by clerk Beauchamp.
Okay, and so now I'll kind of explain. So, again, there was no real standard that has been set. And I know, like when Clerk Beauchamp was gone, nobody invited her deputy up to sit with the board. Nobody asked her personal opinion on a matter the board was discussing. And so I think we need to kind of find the common ground and where we're going to go with that. It needs to be kind of set for all of them, if that makes sense.
Thank you, trustee Cherry. Attorney Thal, I have a question as far as can our township board for the planning commission, since it has its own bylaws and operates independently, as well as then the DDA, would we be able to make that decision for those other boards here?
Well, I think it goes to a larger legal issue, really, of whether or not they can sit on those types of boards as a deputy. So, it's not an easy legal question, but I mean, it's not something that is unprecedented either. I'll just go back a little bit. From a historical standpoint, deputies used to sit on the town, they could fill in for their principal, they could sit on the township board, and they could vote. Okay. A number of years ago, that was changed. They said, no, we don't want them to be part of the legislative body any longer. We don't want them to have a vote. So they specifically changed the statute to say that they're not a voting member of the board. And so there's also some other provisions, in terms of township board level, should they sit here. We have provisions in the state law that say that if the supervisor is absent from a meeting, the board shall appoint one of its members, president pro tem. So you'd think if a deputy was supposed to sit there and fill in their seat, then they should be the moderator for the meeting. They're taking over for the supervisor, but that's actually not what the law provides for. The same for a clerk. It also says that in the absence of the clerk, the board shall appoint one of its members as the temporary clerk for the meeting. So it's, the clerk's deputy shouldn't be up here as a board member during that time. So it really is something that's changed in the law but it's been a number of years since it changed so that they no longer have a vote on the board. So from the township board level, it's very unusual for a board to have a deputy sit at the board table because this is a legislative body that sits up here and they don't have any legislative authority. And, so on that basis, I know that you have allowed that to happen, but I don't think it is, I don't believe that it's lawful to do. And so what I would say, though, is because you have allowed it to happen, that you should develop policy on whether or not it happens, all right? Because you've already set maybe a precedent of allowing for it. So if you're going to take a step back and say, no, we're not going to allow for that, I think it should be policy of the board to do that. Now, then that gets into kind of what you said about other committees and other boards. So like a planning commission, a deputy should not sit in for the principal on a planning commission because that's not part of the principal's statutory duties. They're appointed to be on the planning commission. So you have one board member appointed to be on the planning commission. It could be anybody. It could be a trustee, it could be a clerk, treasurer, just can't be a supervisor, but anyone else could be appointed to the planning commission. When they're serving on the planning commission, that's in that capacity. They're as a board member, they're in that capacity, not as carrying out, say, treasurer duties or clerk duties or whatever other duties there might be. That's not one of the duties that they're carrying out. They're really, a deputy is really there to assist their principal in carrying out their duties as a clerk, treasurer, supervisor. And to that extent, on a planning commission, they're not carrying forward their clerk, treasurer duties. They're there as basically a township liaison from the board on the planning commission. So on that issue, I would say they shouldn't sit there either. Now, on other committees and other things, it may very well be fine to have a deputy sit in on other meetings for the clerk or treasurer or supervisor if it's a meeting that is something that's within their duties that they're performing. Under those circumstances, they could. So I think a policy, you have to be a little careful not to say, oh, they can't sit on other committees or fill in on other boards or committees. We'd have to look at what those might be, and then you'd have to make a decision based upon whether that is part of their duties as a clerk or a treasurer or supervisor, or whether it's an appointment of an extra duty by the township board to do that. So those things all make a difference, but, and it's not, it's not to pick at one thing or another. I'm just trying to lay out what the law is from our perspective.
And then just for clarification purposes, in your opinion, is a deputy allowed to assist with their principal without their principal being absent?
So that's 100% up to the township board. So deputies serve in the absence, sickness, disability, death of the principal, okay? So that's a true deputy, just in the truest form. They serve at the pleasure of their principal, supervisor, clerk, treasurer. You appoint a deputy. They serve at your pleasure to carry out those functions if absent, sick, death, disability. Now, the township board and the principal can say, hey, I'd like help on X, Y, and Z during normal I may be here, but I still want some additional help. Then the board can authorize, with the principal's consent, to assign additional duties, basically to the deputy to assist, and that's very, very common. So it's kind of, we talk about it in terms of a pure deputy, and then we have what we call a deputy plus, which is a deputy that has assigned other duties. So a lot of places, the deputy may answer the phone, they may be the office manager, they might do a lot of different things, or they might just assist the clerk every day, or the treasurer every day with their job. So those things are all dependent on basically the board authorizing additional clerk duties and the principal saying, yeah, I want that help.
And that authorization would be even if that work was only within the purview of the principal's position?
Yeah. I mean, that, like, if you want help with supervisor duties, or the treasurer wants help with treasurer duties, but is here, not absent, the board can authorize a deputy to provide additional assistance.
Thank you, Attorney Thaw. Any questions?
Yeah. So this needs to be reworded, so.
Yeah, I think it needs to come forward in the policy, because there might be times when you want, say, just for example, say the treasurer's not here, is absent, and we want a report from the treasurer. Now, maybe that's something that Brett fulfills or whatever, but there could still be times when you might want a report for them. That's fine, but they still shouldn't be up at the board table. I mean, they could be present, and then they could make a presentation on behalf of the clerk or the treasurer or the supervisor, but they would not be part of the legislative body that sits up front.
Okay, so I guess how should...
So, yeah, I think that it just would need some, I guess I would like to take a look at what you're proposing.
Okay.
I could draft up something, in more of a policy form, and then return that back to the board to take a look at.
Okay, we can table that, absolutely.
Do you want to strike the motion and create a new one to direct Attorney Thal, or do you just want to strike it?
I will strike it, and I will do my best to do a motion too. Do my best. So, let's see. Make a motion to have Attorney Thaw go over deputy sitting down in boards.
Boards and committees.
And committees and subcommittees with it.
Motion made by Trustee Cherry.
Support.
Supported by Clerk Beauchamp. Roll call vote.
Trustee McIver.
Yes.
Trustee Amos.
Yes.
Trustee Cherry.
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin.
No.
Treasurer Bloomfield. Sorry.
No.
Trustee Pratt.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried, 5 yes, 2 no.
Okay, moving along to supervisor for the ordinance report and homeless discussion. We will kick this off with Dakota.
Alrighty, so this is gonna be two parts, and I might steal a little bit of yours that you want to get into. I would have gotten you with you earlier, but this is a whole thing. All right, so.
Take everything that you want and run with it, and then we'll see what happens after.
Dakota, is your microphone on?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
And we had good timing on this. It worked out, so.
Right. All right, so our last copying codes will be on October 6th. After that, if we get nobody showing up to it, that'll be the end of it. Again, last month we had nobody show up. So this report is for August. In August, I had 4 appearances in court. I wrote 3 citations, did 1 parking ticket. I had 18 complaints, gave out 11 warnings. Out of those complaints, 3 of them were for noises, 3 for 4 vehicles, 1 for trailer, 1 for dangerous building, 1 for litter, 3 zoning issues, and 6 of them, there was no violations found. I personally found 4 violations, 1 involving vehicle, 1 trailer, 1 dangerous building that we did end up having to condemn, and 1 for litter. We did have 10 corrected violations. We did end the month with only 9 open cases total so far that are left open from the beginning of April when I started. We did close 1 case with CPS, and we opened up 1 more with APS that has to do with the dangerous building. We did clean up Rose Street. That did happen this month, not back in August, but I do have people still calling me, asking me when Rose Street's going to get picked up. So it did get picked up. That's something that we did end up doing this month, though. For property cleanups, I did, and this is kind of where we're going to get into the homeless side of it. So I did do 5 different property cleanups. 2 of them were on private property with court orders. 3 of them were on public property, and we did them roughly 21 times throughout the month. It stretches from South Winkie all the way down to the Sprinkle Bridge on King Highway on the south side. That's where all of them have been. I don't have an address for them, just parcel numbers, and at some point they all run together. So I just called it all South Winkie because it all fits into where I'm doing it at. It got pretty bad. I kind of noticed that this was being a thing in July, and I was going to touch into it in July as I didn't have the end story to give you guys. As we know, the homeless problem has been getting worse and worse here this year. It's not just here, it's all over. In July, I noticed that the homeless population had increased, and the complaints from the residents has also increased with it. Mid-July, we did reach a boiling point with the residents and the homeless. We did have an issue where a resident did confront some homeless people in the park, and it didn't quite go the way that anybody wanted it to go. At that point, I kind of said to myself that we had to come up with a solution because we just can't keep having this. It's nothing violent did occur, but we were definitely getting to a point where it could. When August rolled around, I spent a lot of my time out cleaning properties. That's why my numbers are so low. Even now today, my day begins. I come into the office at 8 o'clock, and by 8:15, I'm out by South Winkie picking up, and it usually takes me a couple hours. The first 2 weeks of August, myself and our maintenance guy and our parks person, we were all out up and down King Highway picking up litter from encampments that were abandoned. At one point, I started again around 8:15. One time I finished around 11, thought it was all cleaned up. I went home to go change because I smelled the garbage. I came back to the office, and somebody calls me on my phone, tells me that there's a homeless encampment in the area that I was just at, and that they would like it cleaned up. I told them that I've already cleaned it up. Everything's golden. He told me that's impossible as he's standing out there right now. And I was really hoping that he was lying, and that was not the case. I go back out there again, and we had another encampment in the same spot that I was just at a couple hours prior, cleaning up. And that has kind of been the theme for all of August, and we're now getting into September. In August, I decided to reach out to the other ordinance officers, other code enforcement officers throughout Kalamazoo, kind of see how they are dealing with this problem. I reach out to specific ones I know that would have this problem, as other townships and cities don't. We didn't quite have a solution for it. The solution that has been for a while is the issue kind of just gets pushed from township to township to township. And I don't like doing that. I don't like half solving a problem, especially when it's not a long-term solution. Not that I have one. A lot of people who've been doing this a lot longer than me and who are a lot smarter than me still don't have a solution for this. So I tried to set up a meeting with the other code enforcement and other people as well, sit down to try to come up with a plan together. That's not quite happened yet. We're all busy people. I'm still working on it. My goal is to have something put together in November where we can sit down and talk and then present something to you guys or to what I want to do next in December. So with that, talking to other people who've been doing this in other cities and other townships, they suggested that I throw out to the board that we create a homeless committee to kind of help me come up with better solutions, as I don't have many right now. This isn't really something that is in my job title. Not that I don't mind doing this. I've been doing homeless outreach for a very long time. It's something that I'm very good at. I have a public safety background, and I just work well with people. It's just that when you're measuring what I am doing as far as my job title, this is not one of them, and it doesn't line up with what I'm doing on paper, especially when I'm spending most of my time out picking up these encampments. All right, now my solution is for the homeless is I let them take I let them try to pick up the encampment when I find it. I give them a brown paper baggie to put items in that are special to them so they can take. If they don't want to take everything with them, I try not to separate them from their items, but again, I also got to keep it clean for residents. Usually I have to go through and pick up the needles as well. I try to get to the encampments early enough where I can pick them up myself. In August, we had to bring in Junk Kings twice to pick up encampments as they got too big for my vehicle. I put the limit on amount of loadage for my vehicle at 12. Any more than 12 trips to the dump with my vehicle, I try to bring in somebody else. That way I can still do my actual job, and I've only had to do that twice in August. Something else I do is I've made kind of homeless bags out of drawstring bags I found laying around my office. In them is a set of cotton gloves, pair of socks, some soap, some deodorant, razors, a couple Band-Aids, N95, and then a bus token. I try to get these people to the bus stops as best as I can so I can get them to the mission or to the gospel, get them so somewhere safe to stay that's not in the parks or in the woods where things can happen, and I try to look out for safety as best I possibly can. If we go ahead with a committee, I do have some ideas for some ordinances that could possibly help us. A few townships have gave me samples that they've been using, have been working for them. One of them is a panhandling one that looks pretty good. Obviously, it would have to be tailored more towards us, but I do think it would fit well with us. Any questions on ordinance side of things before I go more into homeless, because we're getting pretty deep into it now? Okay, cool. So right now, I don't really have a solution for it. Myself, any maintenance person out there almost daily doing this. Supervisor Martin, I'd be willing to listen to what ideas you have.
Well, thank you, Dakota. I appreciate it. I would be interested to join you on the committee if the board grants us permission to be able to do that. We have Chief Deputy Bishop here this evening that could speak with us as we have the conversation to have some dialogue and maybe ask him if there's other communities that have ordinances that they have seen success with. I think it's a little salt and pepper. It's definitely a not one answer for all, but maybe we could find what's working other places and integrate it into something that we develop here as a township board. So similarly, I think the homeless and panhandling discussion kind of goes a little bit of hand in hand. I know Chief Deputy Bishop had mentioned to me the panhandling being in the road right away. I know Attorney Kaufman had mentioned maybe some constitutionality issues with developing that. So I've gotten calls from business owners, residents. So it's definitely something that is right in the forefront of the topic of discussion. I'd like to pass it along to Treasurer Bloomfield. I believe some of these conversations did get started at the Planning Commission level, but then perhaps maybe we're more directed towards a board level discussion. So I know that's something we've been talking about, but maybe here we can really get it going.
We did start it at the Planning Commission, but it ended up at the Township Board, and we were working on it, and the last I knew, we should probably let your gentleman bring forward his talk, but there's a component in there that I would like to have a lot more education on, and I don't know if that needs to come from you or Superintendent Hess, but I would like to see the process for us with the attorney side of it once you're done, because when I look at the township bills, I see a lot of our attorney bills going to ordinance. And my deputy Knight and myself had a conversation with Mary Gustus from the community center, and we haven't had an opportunity to sit down with you or Scott Hess yet and talk about a way that hopefully we could cut some of those attorney fees by maybe before these people are getting ticketed, if we could help them with a committee some way to help them achieve the goals that our ordinance are asking them to do.
Yeah, so I know what you're talking about. So those,
It would be for a lot of those, Dakota, like those that are elderly or handicapped.
Yep.
Or don't have the means.
yeah, yes, so that would be nice to see. It'd be nice to work with the community center to make it so that we can not only save the township bills, but also get things cleaned up as well. Some of them that I think that you're talking about, there was no other way of doing it due to some legal reasons behind it.
Right, but that's where we would let you, as the ordinance officer, make that decision with the resident, where Mary would have a card made up and they would go to you and you could hand it to the resident, is what she was thinking, and say, you know, if you want help before you get a ticket, here's who you call. And then with the approval of this board, we thought that we would put a committee together. And Mary has enough contacts with the courts systems also, where we could get some manpower to help with that.
That'd be nice. I did talk to, at the courthouse, they have a housing and development person that sits on the second floor.
Correct.
I'm sure there's more throughout the building, but that's the one I talked to. And she gave me a lot of information for people. In fact, one of the properties that I listed for August that we got APS involved in, I got the information specifically for that house. Because again, my goal at the end of the day isn't to take people's houses. My goal is to make things more livable and more safe. So like that's something I did. I got information for that house, but then I saved a lot of it. I made copies so that way I can hand it out towards other people. Just having more resources would be nice, because that not only is it better for our people, also saves me money, which is what I also need.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's kind of multiple topics we're talking, as ordinance, blight, homeless. Would it be an idea to maybe center the committee around blight, but then it has different variations that would be blight of, you know, particular blight of houses and mowing and in their homes, and then blight of, like the issue you mentioned, the encampment and the cleanup, and rather than having multiple different committees kind of under the general consensus of cleaning up the community, but then a committee that offers maybe finding solutions as well, not just cleaning up, but help find how we don't have to do that cleanup once again, like you had emphasized.
So I don't think we would need to have a generalized blight one. Because I'm still trying to gather resources for people. Even though I've been here for, I think, just over 6 months now, still trying to gather that information. But I think it's one of the things that once we get all that information, that'll be the end of it. So I don't quite see that we would need a committee formed for that, because that's a pretty fast thing to do. The homeless problem in general is only going to get worse, and I think we should focus just on that one topic. That way we can kind of, I don't want to say stop it before it gets worse, because we're not going to be able to, but kind of adjust it before it gets more out of hand than what it is, and try to stay focused just on that one topic.
Thank you. I just have a question for the board, as far as, would we like to hear from Chief Deputy Bishop before anybody formulates any further questions, maybe to have questions to ask him, or would you have questions before? Trustee Amos?
Not to sound disrespectful, but for your own safety, I guess concern I have you been trained in bloodborne pathogen, and do you have safety equipment?
Yes, I've been a firefighter EMT for 12 years. I am very familiar how to deal with bloodborne pathogens, how to deal with sharks. Up in Kent County, they have had a homeless outreach team that I was a part of when I was working full-time as a firefighter EMT as well, so I know how to work that. Protection, I do have puncture-resistant gloves that I do wear, and I wear medical gloves underneath those just in case. And then I don't touch the needles, I pick them up by the sides.
Trustee Cherry, do you have anything?
I don't, but I think it's a fabulous idea.
Trustee Pratt?
Nothing at this point.
Clerk Bochamp?
I don't have any questions, but I would be in support of forming the committee. I think it is a good idea, and we could have maybe even some resident involvement on this community, or committee as well.
Thank you, Clerk Bochamp. Trustee MacGyver?
I'd like to thank you again. I'd like to compliment you on what you're doing. You're going way beyond what your duties call for, but in doing that, I think you're stirring other people that might be able to help into action to maybe get to the source of this trouble. And I think what's been knocked around here tonight is a good starting point, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee MacGyver. Chief Deputy Bishop, would you like to come and speak to us, please? Thank you for coming this evening.
Absolutely. Good evening. I am on, right? Yeah. So as Dakota mentioned, this is not unique to your community. I have had conversations with other townships as well who are seeing an increase in the homeless population. And he was also accurate that you're not going to solve the problem tonight, right? This is an issue that is gone far beyond, and it's been going on for many years. But we do as a community have to address it, and it can't just simply be tell them to go someplace else, kicking it down the road, if you will, or arresting them for an ordinance violation or something like that. So I think the idea of a committee or a team of people that could address this would be the right way to go. We're here to support, as the sheriff's office, of course. We do deal with them, with individuals who are unhoused on a regular basis. Most often when a private property owner calls us to address somebody who's not permitted on their property, we ask them to move along, and then we work slowly through a process. We understand that people are in certain circumstances and situations that sometimes they choose to be and sometimes they don't choose to be. So pointing them towards resources is always the best answer. And we are not here to be a heavy hand to enforce rules. We want to point people towards resources, as the sheriff's office anyway. I don't have anything, I don't have an answer. And if I did, then, I would probably be doing something else rather than this. So, but I would love to be a part of the solution. The sheriff's office would love to be a part of the solution. And if a committee is formed, we would certainly like to be a part of that as well. So,
can you tell us about when you get a call, can you tell us about the removal process? So when we develop the ordinance, we understand the steps that you would need to take lawfully to be able to get them removed and kind of how the process would work. Maybe throw an example out there.
Sure, a little bit. So there would be a couple different reasons why we would be contacted, right? You would have the private property owner who would call us, or you might have a business owner who would call us, or it might include a township property, right? Like where you would, maybe a public park where you find an encampment that has popped up. In the private property or the business owners, if they call us, we would approach the individuals. We would ask them to pack up and leave. We would inform them that they're not allowed to be on the property. And we would ask them to leave. We would give them a reasonable amount of time as well, right? We heard from a citizen earlier that said, 20 minutes and you got to be out and have everything. Well, 20 minutes might be okay in some circumstances, but 20 minutes might not be okay because they may have several pieces of property, and we don't want to just discard all of that because it is private possessions, it is memories, it is belongings. So we would give them a reasonable amount of time to remove. If after that reasonable amount of time they haven't left or they've returned, then we would move forward with a trespassing order or cite them. If the township property or public property and the township had an ordinance on camping or some type of ordinance that we could enforce, then we would work with the ordinance enforcement to also ask them to move along. Again, if they don't move along, then we'd have to take enforcement action. But typically it comes from the property owner. If it's a personal property, them asking us to go there and remove the individuals, notify them, and move them along. Now, we also offer resources, right? Like the city of Kalamazoo is rich with resources, but again, it goes back to whether or not they want to participate or don't want to participate. So,
Are there any other municipalities that, as they're working towards achieving a workable solution, are there any ordinances or any municipalities that you'd recommend to point us in the direction to take a look at their ordinances? In a glimmer of hope? These.
So they utilize their current ordinances, and sometimes when it's a business, if they have a business front and then they have a large property behind, they do lean back on the business owners to clean up their own property, right? They discuss it under a blight ordinance or an unregulated, you know, if we're talking that they're building actual structures, they talk about campers or trailers or tents. In your bills, it can take a lot of effort. Trips to the dump with his vehicle, and if it's beyond that, which I would assume he's had, if he's, you know, can count them out, that gets quite costly. So who does the cost go to then? Other municipalities or other townships have said it's the property owner's responsibility. But that, again, that's up to you all to decide how that's handled.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Deputy Bishop? Trustee Cherry? Trustee Amos? Trustee Pratt? Clerk Beauchamp? Trustee McIver? Treasurer Bloomfield?
Thank you for educating us and coming tonight.
Sure,
and waiting.
absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you very much. Moving along to the further discussion, does anybody have any? Treasurer Bloomfield?
I do with the panhandling. We were working on an ordinance with Attorney Kaufman, and I believe we were real close to finishing that panhandling ordinance, if I remember correctly. So if Attorney Thal could look into that, because I know we made some really good changes from our original ordinance. We were updating that. So if you could look into that and bring it forward. Thank you.
And then as far as a homeless ordinance, do you have anything to add on that?
No, I don't, because that was one that we started on here, and the board, it's just kind of got shoved off the side with everything else we've had to deal with on this board. So
my question to the board would be, would maybe the committee help develop an ordinance? Would that be a kind of a desired goal of the committee? Superintendent Hess?
Yeah, I just had one thing to add, maybe it ties into this, but I was at my manager's meeting and the county administrator, but he wouldn't tell us what it was, but he said, look for an announcement coming for a huge initiative by the county. So I think it's kind of perfect timing that maybe, I don't know what the county's up to, but he said, just wait, because it's huge. So to help the homeless. So I don't know what that's going to be, but I do want to just add, I like that tiered piece of, you know, how are we going to deal with the homeless blight and then the low income blight and then, you know, right up through that whole thing. And I think one committee could address that whole piece, you know, in different stages or levels, I should say.
And maybe like the meetings would have scheduled points of focus or something like that. Trustee Cherry, anything? What's your input as far as like to develop an ordinance? Would we want to, as the township board, would we want to task that committee towards research and development to help maybe make recommendations towards, then the board can take all that gathered information then to develop an ordinance?
Well, I guess that would depend, because when Clerk Beauchamp mentioned maybe have some of the residents sit on that committee as well to help out. So I don't know, do you want to have that happen and then it can go to maybe the planning commission to say, okay, let's clean it up a little bit, or how you would want that to work? But I still think that's a fantastic idea. And I work in Calhoun County, but they have so many different resources and so many different like referral trees and all kinds of stuff. So maybe I can at least try to not tap into theirs, but say, hey, what do you suggest? Or can you point us in the right direction? Maybe they have contacts in Kalamazoo County. So, I think that we're definitely on the right track with this.
Thank you. Trustee Amos?
Oh, I'm good.
Trustee Pratt?
Just a quick comment. This, as the deputy had pointed out, thank you. As the deputy pointed out, this is something that is all across the region and the country. We can go to any city and see the same issue. And so I'm interested in a committee or a work group to address this here. But as the deputy pointed out, and from my background in mental health issues, we're not going to be able to resolve it. We can try to lessen it here, but unless the services, as an example, the state of Michigan back in the 70s cut a lot out from various areas when the state hospital started closing down. So we've got a number of people in the population here that have multiple diagnoses, and so I'm interested in this committee work group, but I don't think we should think that we're going to make a dent in this, because the resources that we would need is just beyond our capacity here. But again, I think it's worthwhile to attempt to do something here. And the idea that somebody brought up to bring residents in on a committee to discuss these issues, to get input, I think is very important. Thank you.
Thank you. And my idea would be, with the committee, then a desired outcome would be to maybe pass along additional research and information to the planning commission, that's where I'm a little stuck, because it went from the planning commission to the township board. So my idea would be the committee get maybe kind of like the planning commission appointments where you have different industry and segment. You want to maybe have a sheriff's deputy, maybe if someone would be interested to be on the committee, and then a board member and a resident, like a mixed group of people to at least maybe put forth ideas. So then the desired outcome would be to have a workable ordinance for this issue. Clerk Beauchamp?
Just a couple of things. I think, just to be clear, we can't make an ordinance that says homeless is illegal, because it can't be illegal to be homeless. We have to be very clear that we're addressing things that can be enforced, such as no camping on private or public property, or when you can trespass people. So I just want to be very clear on that. So when we talk about homeless ordinance, we're not talking about, it's not lawful to make that illegal. I think it's a good idea to have a committee. I don't believe this would need to go to the planning commission, because it's a police power ordinance. So the committee could actually come together to talk about an ordinance, also maybe come up with a resource plan for the homeless, and if there was a township board liaison on the committee, they would be the ones to bring it to the township board. But I do think it would be a good idea to have more resident involvement on this committee. And I also just want to add, because it has been an issue that has come up with past committees with attorney fees, that my opinion is we don't necessarily need an attorney at all of these committees. It would just be when there are questions on how to form an ordinance, or when we're ready for the attorney to review it, then it would go to the attorney, so that we don't have to pay an attorney to sit through 2-hour committees every week or however often it meets. So just some of my ideas.
And I do have a presentation from Sergeant Elwan, but the file was too big for us to open, so I'm going to get a thumb drive from him. And then the city of Kalamazoo has an ordinance, but I don't know what they named it, like that they have a specific name, but since we couldn't access the file, so I was thinking that would be something, and I think that's where Catherine was at, where we were just trying to figure out the legalities of how to name it and how to do it. Trustee MacGyver?
It sounds like a good start, but that's all I got right now.
Thank you. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Good.
Attorney Thal?
So I think to move it forward, what you'd want to do is bring a proposal as to what you think the committee would look like, the duties of the committee, even if it's just preliminary, to have that kind of mapped out, like what you're looking for in terms of membership on the committee and what the committee will be doing, and then bring that to the board so you can keep moving this process forward. But you really need to figure out, like, what's this committee going to look like, and what do we really want to work on, and maybe even work on this first and move forward through some kind of with direction from the board.
Perhaps I could have some dialogue with Dakota, and maybe on our next meeting we could continue this conversation. Okay, everybody good to move along? Superintendent Hess, did you have anything so we can take into consideration? Okay. Moving along to past finance and into the superintendent employment status for Deputy Fire Chief Dyer.
All right.
And 1 second, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Trustee MacGyver?
Oh, sorry.
Doing good? Want to keep going?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Superintendent Hess.
Okay. So if I can talk here. The employee status of Deputy Fire Chief Dyer. Our last meeting, that was, most of the board had voted to see what the outcome was through the legal process. As of today, the legal process is apparently, Deputy Chief Dyer pleaded no contest, so he pleaded with a deal. So at this time, I think that is something that the board should look at and take action now, so.
Attorney Thal, do you have anything for us before we venture into?
I would just add that he's an at-will employee, and so it's up to the board what you want to do in terms of employment status.
And then as far as requesting of closed session or anything, there's been none of that?
I contacted the deputy fire chief, and he said he would not be here, and I told him that it was his opportunity. If he wanted to take this into closed session, he denied. So.
Okay. And then as far as if there was, how does it work if there was a motion brought forward and it wasn't a passed motion? Would that motion be able to be brought forward again? How does that work? There was a board meeting where there was a motion, the motion did not pass.
So then you could just move forward with a new motion tonight. You're not bound by anything from that motion if it didn't pass.
And the person that made the motion would be able to make a motion again or not be able to just kind of a restart?
Yeah, because what it sounds like the final motion was to wait and see what happened. That just sounds like what the final motion from the board was. So now you kind of know what happened, and if somebody wants to make a motion tonight, they can make a motion. I don't know what failed necessarily the last time, but you're free to make whatever motion regarding employment status that you want.
Be looking for a motion, or this is a sensitive subject, it's new, would the board want to have discussion before a motion, or do we want to follow a motion and then discussion?
Typically, you have somebody put a motion on the table, second it, and then have discussion on the motion.
So for your question, we would need a motion on the table.
That's right. Okay.
I make a motion to terminate the employment of Deputy Fire Chief Dyer.
Support.
Motion made by Supervisor Martin, supported by Clerk Beauchamp. Roll call vote?
Well, no, now if you want
discussion, I'm sorry. Yep. Trustee Cherry?
I was under the impression last time that wherever I've ever worked, if you were on unpaid leave, you did not have benefits either, that those were terminated. And now I'm aware that that's not the case for this, which for me does kind of change how I view this. So, and that's about it. He can't do his job, unfortunately, given his current status. So why keep it, why prolong it?
Thank you. Trustee Amos?
So it is my understanding that he's pleaded not guilty, is that correct? Or no?
No contest.
No contest, I'm sorry, you're correct. And he's had the opportunity to retire, but he has not used that opportunity, is that correct?
I have not discussed that with him. That's really a decision by the employee.
Okay, that was the only question I had, thank you.
Trustee Pratt?
The situation has changed since our last meeting to discuss this, again, a very sensitive topic. And with the information from our superintendent that there has been a pleading of no contest, I think we could go ahead with our discussion and a motion.
Clerk Beauchamp?
With his plea, I do know that he is no longer insurable by our insurance. So I don't see any way for him to continue with his employment because he cannot do his job if he can't drive a truck. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Clerk Beauchamp. Trustee McIver?
Well, I agree with Clerk Beauchamp. I mean, and I think Mr. Dyer, Assistant Chief Dyer, understands what's going on too when he pleaded no contest to the judge or the court. So I think he's resigned to whatever we decide, and we should probably vote on it and be done with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McIver. Treasurer Bloomfield?
It is time for us to move forward and the fire department to move forward with this. We've waited long enough for him to come forward and either resign or whatever, but we can't wait any longer, and he is uninsurable. So, thank you.
I just, at the end of the day, in the past, to serve that long for the township appreciates all of that service. But as business needs to move forward and it needs to move forward insurable, I believe that it would be best to let him go. So we have a motion on the table. We have a second on the table. We'll be looking for a roll call vote.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving along to superintendent report.
Yep, next, I do owe you the follow-up attorney policy, but I've been working with Attorney Thal now, so he is going to get I think it was just a big question of the statutory, so we'll have that back at the October 6th meeting, and so I'll get with him. Well, he has a copy of it, so he's going through that. I did announce with the county having that initiative, don't know what that is yet for the homeless. I will be working with Attorney Thal. We started this process of a water franchise agreement with the city of Galesburg. We currently have one, but it's expired. And since you're the attorney for Galesburg, your firm, and us, we had to have a reciprocal agreement, but there's been some little tweak and changes. Water currently going up towards the Laurels on 35th. There was some residents on the Comstock side that were getting service from Galesburg. So in turn, the city looked at that and is going to, I have the map, they're going to give just that portion of 35th into the franchise agreement in exchange to where Dorrance, just before or right after the old Dorrance Ford back, we will take those parcels because those parcels were part of Galesburg. So I will get with you to finish that. I've got all the paperwork. I'm just inking and everything to get it correct. We did not get the grant for the Lombard property, so I am reaching back out to the land bank. They showed interest in taking over that property and having some other funding. So I'm gonna bring that back as soon as I'm toured. They're gonna take a tour of that Lombard property for the multi-housing. I think that'll be a good fit, that if they take that over, invest in it and then manage it. We just don't have enough resource in our budget to complete that project. And so I'm gonna ask the county if the housing grant that we got, if that could be carried over and utilized with the land bank. So Budget, now that we have some numbers, Brett will be back Thursday. I'm reviewing with each department right now. And then he's kind of, hopefully at his conference, getting info on the projections from revenue sharing from the state of Michigan, because there was some projections that would be down this year. So meeting Thursday with the HR person on the handbook updates, so that should be worked through till probably January and submit those. And then our curbside pickup, normally in the fall, is about 2 to 250,000 pounds. It was 300, and it didn't rain, so that's a lot of stuff, because usually when it rains, it soaks it down. Just to give you a kind of a picture of it, spring was at 490, so it was getting up there, so it was a good pickup. We'll have to look at that in the budget because all those costs have rose too. So, but I think if we maybe did some creative thing with blight and the curbside pickup, it might be something that we can kind of massage. I know that some board members, don't know who it was, entertained possible leaf pickup or something like that. So I'm just kind of investigating that to see if that's a viable thing. So. Any other questions? I think I covered most of them.
Any questions for Superintendent Hess? Thank you. Moving along to reports, we have the DDA minutes from June 25th, 2025. We have bills paid September 17th through September 25th, 2025. Informational future action items. We have FOIA requests. Moving along to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from the board members. But you're welcome to make an appointment with a supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. Their contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Hi, Tammy Keeler again. A lot of people put no trespassing signs out for the homeless people. And if you guys find a bag or something in your yard, have the police come and get it. Because I had somebody staying in my garage. Guess what they were doing in there? I had the police department come and get it. This was a couple years ago. I had them take the bag out because I thought there was something suspicious. I asked the man to leave. He didn't want to leave. I asked him to leave. The police were there. He had spent the night in my garage. And I had to go in the garage to see what was mine and what was his. But I wasn't going to touch any of his possessions. I let the police do it. Because I didn't know what was in that bag, but he opened it up and he could tell, you know. And I don't see why the ordinance officer is going into people's yards and taking children's toys, for crying out loud. Took this lady's grandkids' toys, a playhouse that she had sitting there and stuff. They should ask if that's garbage or not. That wasn't garbage, that was for her grandchildren. And then when they say they give somebody 15 days to get rid of something, no. I know this person that had 15 days, and the 14th day, guess what? She got a court summons on the 14th day. They didn't give her full 15 days. And as far as rehabs go, I think they closed that one at Borges, didn't they? I think they closed one up there by Borges. Yes. And so now they're out on the street. The rehab, they don't have no place to go. Because they closed it down, I think. I know they closed a couple of them down around here. But these people have no place to go now to get help. So they're going to need some place to go and get that help, some of them. But no trespassing signs are a good idea. Maybe that deters some of them. I don't know. I know that's what helped the lady across the street from me. So, and thank you for taking into consideration what was done to that girl that was here, she's in pretty bad shape. There's no excuse for that. None at all. And I'm glad that you guys made the decision that you did. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further citizen comment?
John Charlie. A couple things on the bills report and everything. I just, again, got a couple questions here. I own a lawn care business, so I'm going to talk about the lawn mowing on the bills payable. I see the lawn mowing is like $7,335. It says mowing park, cemetery, and township. I guess I got a couple questions like, is this for the whole month? Is this for 2 weeks? 1 week? I know, I'm pretty sure it's not for 1 week. But I guess my question is how many weeks? Is it a month, a week, you know? And I see you got ordinance mowing and then like fire department mowing. But I know you guys have the Lombard property, and I'm guessing that, you know, they take care of that too. But where does that go here? Is that all under the big, huge 7,000, or are we going to see, you know, another $500-600 here in the next couple weeks? You know, and then I see, you know, College Hunks on here did a property cleanup, and then Junk King from Grand Rapids. I kind of wish there was like a bid policy or something. You know, it kind of gets slow when it gets really dry. And then also, you know, in the wintertime, a lot of lawn care companies aren't doing stuff, but we got a lot of dump trailers. You know, so if you have a bid policy, you need a property cleanup and everything. I'm pretty sure that College Hunks probably doesn't have, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, special training or licensing or whatever. And I bet you, knowing me and knowing my employees that I have, we would get those trainings so we can maybe help out the community and do cleanups. Because I guarantee that spending, you know, $4,500 on a cleanup from somewhere in Grand Rapids, you could probably save $1,000 by hiring a local community member. You know, you got to pay for that travel time from Grand Rapids, and I guarantee they're charging $100 a man hour. They got 4 people, about 45 minutes. They're probably charging you $400 an hour. Up there and back, that's $800. Save, you know, a lot of money picking someone in the community, even if it's College Hunks. But I think we need maybe a little bit of bid policy for that sort of stuff, because it is one of those things, like I said, it gets slow in the wintertime. I wouldn't mind throwing a bid in there and everything for some junk removal or cleanup and everything like that in the wintertime to help out the community. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead. My name is Richard Hathaway, 3617 Silver Hills, and I am here as a citizen, not representing the schools or anyone else. I have seen a couple of posts, including one on today's agenda for a FOIA request for my censure review. I know this is a mistake, as the school district and the township are separate entities, and I have not been censured or evaluated by this township. I am, however, willing to meet with any resident to discuss this issue of my censure, even though I believe it is illegitimate. Just send me an email at my school district address with a time and a topic, and we will agree on a public place to meet. I am happy to review any of it with anyone in this community. If you're satisfied with the data I presented earlier, there is nothing I can do. If you're not pleased, please attend some school board meetings and let your voices be heard. Help fix the problem. In my opinion, the problem is not the teachers, it is a lack of leadership. Do not criticize parents who are trying to do the best for their children. Applaud them. Children are blessed to have engaged parents pursuing future success for their children. Our community will reap the benefits of highly educated individuals in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I've already been up here once, so I'm not going to say my name again. I don't know who is responsible for the falls up there on 26th Street, but it is clogged and it smells disgusting. It needs to have the weeds pulled out of between the rocks. It's all stagnant. We don't want that. Everywhere we look, that's Comstock Township. That's our, whatever you call it, signature sign. We don't want it like that. It needs to be brought back to what it's supposed to be. But that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just do quick. Hi, I'm Pam York. I live at 8797 East Main Street in Galesburg. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate everybody here. When you read stuff on the web and you hear things that have been going on, it sounds like it's a lot. And I'm sure it is. And I appreciate you going through all the deputy stuff because that was an issue and it sounded way worse than what it looks like. It just needs to boil down to what we're going to actually, how we can do things better for everybody. And that's what I wanted to say. Also, I wanted to say, I really do not want that best thing coming into our community. I know that it was talked about at some point, but as a person who's lived here for 18 years, I hadn't heard a word about it. And it's heartbreaking. So if there's any way that we can renege on that and try to do a better thing for our community and our kids in this school district, it would mean a lot to the residents that have been here for years. And that's it. Just want to say thank you. I appreciate it for you guys being here.
Thank you. Any further citizen comment this evening?
My name is Sherry. I addressed myself a while ago. I go to the library, the Comstock Township Library, quite often. And the other day, when I was going up the little ramp that's there, there's a big chunk of cement that's gone. I actually tripped myself, even using my cane, It needs fixed. I don't know who's in charge of Comstock Township for that particular thing. I don't know if we should get some cement and pour it ourselves. I'm willing to try to help. I know how to do mortar. My dad taught me. He built his whole house in Comstock, tore it all down and built it all piece by piece. But that is an actual hazard. And as far as that pond up there where we had the beautiful swans that we purchased many years ago, I'd like to have that brought back in. And I don't know if we need to get a hold of the DNR to address this problem with all the mosquitoes that are growing in there. It is a hazard. I know there are mosquitoes that are actually killing people. So that, I believe, does need it addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further citizen comment this evening? Moving along to members' comments. Trustee Cherry?
I have nothing, thank you.
Trustee Amos?
I'm good, thank you.
Trustee Pratt?
Just a couple things. Just a quick note on the Fall Festival that was carried out this past weekend. I had a chance to stop by. It was a tremendous time. A lot of kids there. I think more kids than last year. And so it was a wonderful group of people, and the support that our DDA and our Parks Department, I think, was wonderful in getting that together. I had a chance to talk with some people from the Sunrise Kiwanis group there, and they wanted to pass along to the board. They really appreciate the support Comstock Township has given them over the years, and they're open to having us drop by at their meetings, which occurs at the Roxy's each Friday at 7:30, and they are open to having a representative from us there as we used to do, or if we as individuals would like to stop by and just say hello and be introduced to some people.
At 7:30 a.m.
7:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Pratt. Clerk Bochamp?
I wasn't going to say anything, but just to add on to what you said, they've been reaching out quite a bit. We do not have a member currently on the Kiwanis, and we have had members in the past, but we can't seem to find someone who wants to commit that time. So if there's any board members or anyone else, employees that might be interested in joining, we are paying dues, so it'd be nice to have representation.
Thank you, Clerk Bochamp. Trustee McIver?
You gotta push the button. I really don't have anything to say, but thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer Bloomfield?
I just would like to address the comment that was made with the bid policy. Deputy Treasurer Knight and myself have been working with Chief Financial Officer Brett Paget to hopefully get something done in the next week or two, knowing that we have the possibility of a new fire station being built so that we can watch our money. My feelings on this are, how many of you put a new roof on your house or buy a new stove, whatever, but you get only one bid, the first one that comes in? That's not how I would like to see this township operate financially. I would like to see that bidding policy in place to save the taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Thank you to the board for a good, productive meeting. Thank you to the residents for attending. This meeting is now adjourned.